Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our 8 p.m. Tropics Talk. Thank you for joining me tonight. It is Monday, November 6th, 2023. Not a whole lot to talk about in the tropics tonight. As you can see, we're starting off with the National Hurricane Center's homepage, and there is no tropical cyclone development expected for the next 7 days. And truthfully, we haven't been able to see that or say that for quite some time. We'll go ahead and give it a couple minutes, see if we get some few more folks joining in tonight. Say hello to some folks already in the chat. Zarko Rakera, GFS with its old tricks. Yep, don't trust the GFS. GFS is on the fritz once again, unfortunately. I don't know what GFS is doing. It's being a little silly. I don't know exactly what to expect. And you know what's weird is, honestly, it seems like the 6 and 18Z are the easier ones to look at. The 12 and the 0 never seems to make a whole lot of sense. Forget about it. Another swing and a miss. I'm not sure the swing and a miss. Which one are you talking about? Because I know I haven't really forecasted much in terms of tropical development, so I haven't swung and missed anything. The GFS definitely has. Good evening, Miss Leah. Zen, good evening. Nomad Cat 4, good evening. Everyone, evening. Thomas, good hour later. Lol for many Caribbean viewers. Is it an hour later for them? Because I know we all moved our time ahead, and the United States hasn't changed at all. Welcome to all my Florida neighbors. Day Trader, Kevin, howdy from Tallahassee. Good night, everyone. Helena, good to see you. Janice, good to see you, dear. Goofy firing system, I agree. Brooke, hello there. It's 9 p.m. in Puerto Rico. Maybe they went at... No, that makes... Wait. Oh, okay, so yeah, now it's different. Yeah, now it's a little later out there. I remember now it was Atlantic Standard Time I was converting before. That was an hour ahead, and now they're officially an hour ahead before it was the same time. Jeff says, which way, Clyde? Yeah, exactly. Coco, welcome in from Antigua. Good to see you. Matthew F-150, thanks for joining in. Brian Hydrogen, welcome in. TRG Tornado. TRG, every time I hear TRG, I always think back to when I was living in Tucson, turning Ratchet's garage. Hello there. Jamie, good evening. Thank you for joining us from Belize. We have a lot to talk about Central America, unfortunately. Right turn, Clyde. Good evening, my fellow Floridians from beautiful New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, the Space Coast. Space Coast has been very quiet all hurricane season long. But yeah, guys, so taking a look at the homepage on National Hurricane Center, there you have it. That's pretty much the song and dance. You know, there's still quite a few, weather sources out there hinting at development across this general area, but, it looks like there might be a small window, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. And honestly, even the few models that do show development, it's extremely short-lived. There's just too much wind shear down there now at this point. Clocks changed and okay, so they don't change their clocks. See, I'm still adjusting to that because in Arizona, when I was stationed out there, we never touched clocks. Everybody else got dorked up around us, so this is my first year having to adjust clocks again. So that makes sense. Now you guys, since we went back in time, you guys are still ahead of us because you didn't adjust time. Stuff's confusing. The only thing I really appreciate about it is the extra hour of sleep that does nothing to you because I'm clearly exhausted. And at the same time, our models come in a little earlier now. So as a matter of fact, what's interesting, guys, is we can now start the stream looking at our GFS ensembles. We'll get there here in a second. That rain they had in Pittsburgh contributed to the Jags' win by causing a soggy field that led to Minkah Fitzpatrick to injure his hamstring. Oof, that's rough. Did you see the CPC? They have a 20% chance of development over the next 14 days or so. Oh, yeah. They still have us marked for pretty much all of November, pretty much for that matter, if I'm not mistaken, above 20% chance. I just don't see any major development, though. Especially with the GFS. The GFS is the only one really out there organizing a full-fledged tropical system. We have some low-pressure systems trying to form up down there, and I could definitely see that happening, just like with Invest 97, huge rainmakers trying to drift to the north, which will help us out over the Gulf Coast. But that's about it. I don't really think we're going to see any development. I've been looking every day because, to tell you the truth, since we're here in the casual live stream now, I'm not doing a full-fledged segment. I'd be lying to you guys if I said I don't want any more tropical systems to report on. My views are down, subscribers are down because there's really nothing exciting in the weather world to talk about. So, and it's not even about that. Just my inner weather nerd and extreme meteorologist. I want to talk about hurricanes and tropical systems. Even the East Pacific, I think, is pretty much calmed down. Let me see, Eastern Pacific. Yeah, so both AORs at this point are dead. We're dead quiet on both sides. Oh, yeah, I know they're all Zulu time, but I'm saying now in terms of the clock, here they come in an hour earlier. So that way I'm not losing sleep. Because especially during the active times when we were looking at things like Adalia, Lee, who else? Shoot, the whole hurricane season. I'd be up until like midnight, almost 1 in the morning, watching models come in. Now I can start looking at them around 10 p.m. and then fall asleep halfway through their populating before 11 o'clock, and it's nice. It helps with waking up early for the gym. In addition to Tropics talks, I'd love to see some NFL forecasts like for the Jags and 49ers. Maybe every now and again we could do something like that. To tell you guys the truth, I'm not a huge sports guy. Like, I'll go out and watch them. I love a good football game if I'm actually going to watch it. I like a good NASCAR race. Definitely like a good hockey game. In fact, a number of us just went out to a hockey game not too long ago, which was a good time. Yeah, it's just because we're starting to close out the hurricane season. That's the thing. And there goes my water bottle making weird noises. All right, so I'll tell you right now, this is the main reason why we don't have anything out there to talk about in terms of tropics, because you can see that our subtropical jet is in full steam ahead, throwing some wind shear across much of the Atlantic. You have a lot of wind shear down there over the MDR, and then you have a lot of wind shear starting to creep into the Caribbean, which has actually helped to wipe out some of those lingering thunderstorms off the coast of Nicaragua and Belize. So it looks like you guys have one small cluster of training thunderstorms right along coastal, maybe interior Belize, but that's about it. Looks like there's a little bit of an upper low wandering through the southern Caribbean right now. And, it's very interesting because I've been watching a whole lot of different, been reading articles, taking quick glances at other videos and whatnot. And, there is still some probabilities that we could get something out of the southern Caribbean. But I'm also seeing that there's still people mentioning that because the MDR is so active that we could still see development out there. And it's kind of like, what? I don't think that's, no, what? And yeah, for the most part, Nomad Cat 4, I would definitely say that wind shear has killed off the Eastern Pacific as well. Let's go out there real quick. And you can see that's what kind of ate, what's her name, Pilar alive. You can see what was once left of her. We have such a huge trough digging in right here. You can see all that wind shear shooting convection off to the north. It's trying to get the monsoonal trough going, and it looks like shear tapers off down near... Oh, no. There's still quite a bit of wind shear down there, it looks like, too, down over where the East Pac monsoonal trough is. But all this is a clear indication that our subtropical jet is alive and it is kicking. And we're going to have a huge area of shared energy across much of the, the mid-plain, not the mid-plains, wow. The Midwest, moving into the Great Lakes and the Mid-Atlantic to northeastern states. So yeah, all in all, we'll still have to watch. There's definitely very, very subtle indications that we could maybe get a little low. And that's what I'm calling for. I definitely don't think that... we're going to get an organized system. It would take a lot at this point for me to buy into us getting another named system. I really just don't see it. I don't see Tropical Storm Vince. I think we're closing out the season with Tammy. It just doesn't look favorable. And you can see it here as we close in on the Caribbean. Look at all this wind shear here. It's a tremendous amount. It's eating alive the storms that are still out there trying to affect the Belize area. You can see the shear starting to get into them. Even South America has calmed down a little bit. There's really not a whole lot going on down there. Still plenty of residual moisture, not a whole lot of dry air, but, that's also probably going to be changing very soon, especially with the influx of more potent, not thunderstorms, more potent frontal systems coming in. So, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick glance since we can actually do something weird and upside down. Let's go ahead and look at our 18Z GFS ensembles. Look at this. There you have it, guys. They're already in. That's what the time change does for us. We can start the stream with our ensembles now. GFS has been trending that storm over the USA November 18th or something. Which one? Because there's actually a lot of them. Dark Earth, welcome in. I'm depending on the Jets to defeat my manager in fantasy football. Well, I'll have to take a look at that. I'll definitely have to take a look at that. I'm watching a major hurricane stalling in the Caribbean for days that could pound Jamaica with heavy rainfall and hurricane force winds. I don't see that, Aston. I'm sorry. I mean, as exciting as that may be, definitely don't see that, especially a major hurricane. I can't even get behind a hurricane. I definitely do not see a major hurricane. There's absolutely no way. Not with the dynamics that we have in play. I refuse to believe that. Ethan's life. You know, Ethan, I see you out there trying to convince people that that Supra was yours. And if it is, you got to tag me in some videos of you driving it, dude, because I don't know. I know you were at that auto show. But all right, let's go ahead and look at our 18Z ensembles. They're probably still all over the place. Actually, you know, 18Z, nope, never mind. Then they go all over the place. Towards the back end, they go all over the place. This was nice, though, to see some consistency right there. That was kind of nice, because 12Z definitely did not do us any favors. 12Z GFS ensembles looked like garbage. Look at that. Definitely looked miserable. GFS is basically showing, you know what, we're going to get a hurricane and it's going to go everywhere. It's going to split into like 5 different hurricanes. Gulf Coast is going to get a hurricane. Florida's going to get a hurricane. Cuba's going to get a hurricane. Jamaica's going to get, no, that's not. When you see all this stuff, when you see the ensembles doing this, and I talked about it in my video, when they're doing that, there's definitely no agreement whatsoever. Is there confidence that we could maybe see a low pressure center form out there? Yeah, but to do this, absolutely not. And then look at that. If you look closely, the GFS has random low pressure centers forming up in the Gulf of Mexico, out in the Atlantic, in several parts of the Atlantic for that matter. So I don't know what is going on. Watching from Belize, Hurl, welcome in. What a bummer. You know, I still like the old Supra a little bit more. Would I own a new one? Yeah, if it was given to me. I don't think I'd ever go out of my way to buy one. But Aston, definitely don't trust the GFS. Do not trust the GFS. If you're forecasting off the GFS, you're part of the problem. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm playing, guys. I'm not going to get on them that bad. But if you look at the 12Z GFS, I don't know what the heck it was thinking. Here we go. So there's our hurricane forming up. It moves due east, wipes out Jamaica, destroys Dominican Republic, and then tries to make a run on Puerto Rico, and then decides it's just going to go back in the other direction, once again towards a 1-2 punch of Jamaica. And I definitely don't know. That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The GFS wants it following this big old secondary subtropical system that forms up. You can see that is a very subtropical system. Look at our thickness lines. We have the 540 line down here. Thickness lines coming across like this. That is the GFS is calling for frontogenesis, which is the formation of a frontal boundary, and cyclogenesis in the tropics. What the heck? That doesn't even make sense thermodynamically. So I do not trust the GFS, and I really hope that nobody out there is forecasting off of this. Could we see something like this? You know, yeah, but could we see this? No, it doesn't even make sense. I was looking at it earlier because I'm getting a little fed up with GFS hyping up a hurricane. At this point, it's no worse than some of the YouTube folks out there. But look at that. Look, how are you gonna form a major hurricane inside wind shear and then punch it right into more wind shear for that matter, and then take it away back into, like, you know, I don't know. I digress. I'm not going to get all passionate about how weird this thing is doing. The Euro at 12Z makes a little bit more sense. If we go over to the European model, initially a couple days ago, let me see, I think it was Saturday. Saturday, we had a full-fledged system trying to form up and make its way into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, this I could maybe buy into, but if you look at it, at this point in time, it's a disorganized low. It's already elongating, getting picked up by this El Nino-style Texas low pressure that's going to develop in Texas and help increase our rain chances. And this is the reason why I want this to happen. I definitely want something to come out of the Caribbean so we can finally get some flipping rainfall over here in Florida. Because it definitely looks like the Gulf Coast is looking at some rainfall, especially with that next big old frontal system and the return flow around our high pressure in the Atlantic. That makes a lot of sense, but it definitely just doesn't seem like Florida is going to get it unless we can force something out of the Caribbean. And with this iteration, I could buy it, but then if you come over here to our 12Z model today, you can see it gets stuck and doesn't make it out of the Caribbean. So back to square one. Back to square one, unfortunately. Whatever happens, it's not going to make it out of the Caribbean. And unfortunately, for my folks out there watching from Belize and other Central America locations, it looks like you guys are going to be inundated by more rain and more flooding conditions. It did, in fact, have a major hurricane, Aston, but unfortunately, to tell you the truth, buddy, we've had the GFS predicting major hurricanes since June. I remember before I even started YouTube, I got all hyped up and then realized that it was just the GFS being GFS when I saw in June we were going to have a Cabo Verde major hurricane make its way all the way across the Atlantic and then bash right into the east coast of Florida. That definitely didn't pan out. Honestly, very little of the GFS's forecasts have panned out. We saw that huge bust with 97L. Honestly, we've had bust after bust after bust. I mean, the one that I was really sold we were going to see development on was 97L. So that was a busted forecast on my part. I genuinely thought that was going to be our tropical storm Vince. Definitely thought it was going to come in and at least form into a tropical storm before colliding with Central America, but it didn't do anything. And there were a lot of people out there saying hurricane, 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 fast developing hurricane, like this thing's going to blow up quick. And, it had some of the ingredients to do so, but that wind shear on its eastern side just chased it down. It was kind of like Michael Myers in a chase scene, in the Halloween movies, and it chased it down and it won and it knocked it out. It didn't even look like it had a chance when it got into East Pac, unfortunately, too. The GFS lies to you. Yeah, unfortunately. Well, it's not that the GFS lies. It's just the GFS is like a fearmonger in disguise of a computer model. Now, don't get me wrong. It does good over North America. It does pretty decent with its synoptic scale features, not with tropical systems, especially with initial development of tropical systems. It doesn't do good at all. What type of education and qualifications do you need to become a meteorologist? How hard do you have to work for it? I can see you work so hard, so you're definitely going to pass. Thomas, let me tell you, I definitely work hard. My homework and my tests and all the different things I have to do for college right now destroy me. Like, I literally had a huge biology exam to take as soon as I got off of work today because I didn't want it to run into the live stream. And then I have more homework to do after I get off the live stream with you guys. But to tell you the truth, to be a meteorologist, the biggest thing is to have your degree and to have your credentials through either AMS. I think it's just AMS. I think there's one other area that you can get a certification as well and get your seal. But you basically need your degree in a geoscience or an atmospheric science or something equivalent to that, and then your AMS seal and your credentials through them. Unfortunately, I have a lot of certifications, but they're only Air Force weather certifications, so not as many of them can translate over to the civilian sector. Could I jump back in the military and immediately go do the weather? 100%. I tried to, but you know what? I'm not going to go clawing my way back into the military, unfortunately. So I think I'm just going to keep doing my thing now and go for my degree. Finish up my degree, I should say. Yep, I hate to say it, dude, but Jamaica is not getting a hurricane. I'll admit I can buy what the GFS is saying at 18Z a little bit more. It makes sense. If something's going to come out of there, it's going to go over those areas and then eject out into sea. Do I see this happening? Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. So, can I see this happening? This little random low vortice in the Gulf? I can definitely see that happening. This definitely makes sense. I could see a little bit of a low perturbation spinning up and moving across the Gulf Coast towards Florida, 175%. This bad boy? No, it's going to take some real hardcore convincing, and you'll have to spin around, double take 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and pelvic thrust like in SpongeBob to get me to buy into a hurricane. I don't care for college. Academic work is overrated. Actual work should matter. I did college and not doing it again. Yeah, I got to agree with you on that one for sure. I mean, in my opinion, especially with something like meteorology, of course, for legal reasons and whatnot, you want to be accredited and you want to be a degreed meteorologist for the legalities behind it. But at the same time, if I was a future employer, I would much rather hire somebody who has already done weather, bleeds weather, is experienced in understanding weather, and has seen weather, as opposed to someone who just looks good on paper but has never forecasted a day in their life. That's just me. With something like forecasting the weather, it definitely helps to have that experience far more than just having a piece of paper. Just like personal training. When I was doing personal training, you could definitely tell the difference between people who were actually coaching and actually helping their clients versus people who just jumped in to try to make money and just randomly got a certification online, and they could tell you to do squats and single leg, whatever, and, planks. I want to be a Met, but it's way too much for me to afford. It's expensive too. Yeah. I am truly blessed with the ability to use my GI Bill after my tuition assistance expired from leaving the military. Carmen, welcome in. Good evening. I see you in there. Thank you very much for the compliment as well. I do appreciate it. Although I think next time I get a haircut, I'm going to go higher up. I'm used to a mid, if not a high fade, and I'm trying to... I don't know. I just don't like this low look. I feel like it makes my head look wide. Super Bowl weather should be interesting to do. It's in Las Vegas. I was actually, when Kevin mentioned that earlier, I was thinking maybe I'll do that. People will definitely want to watch that for sure. Super Bowl forecast. And I typically don't see that too much on the interwebs or anything like that. But, all right. So, let's go ahead and take a look at some of our Euro probabilities, because I know that those are still looking a little spooky, even though Halloween season is over. Even at the 4-day mark now, looking at 12Z, you could see that our probabilities are already up to the 20 percentile, approaching 25. Then 5 days out, 6 days out, they go out a little bit more. And they get even stronger as it gets closer to the Yucatan. But you can see that the general consensus now is after day 7, it's just going to die off right there. We have a pretty decent shot at seeing something, upwards of about 35-40% chance of development, but then it completely dies. It doesn't go any further than that. And then this is also what I'm very curious about, because this has been happening on several model runs of the Euro. It pops up with very, very strong probabilities at the very tail end of its run. And I can prove it to you guys, too. If we go to, let's go to the 4th at 12Z. See that? Same thing, same spot. Peak right there on the 16th of November. Then you go to the 12th, or the 5th at 12Z, same thing, only on the 17th this time. Then you go to today at 12Z, same thing, only on the 18th now. So I definitely don't think that the Euro is on board with this. I think it's kind of dorking up its predictions here, unfortunately. I think it's more so at this point highlighting the potential that there is a very small region of favorable environment down there for something to form up, but will we see something? According to what our Euro is predicting, if it does form, it's going to go from there to there and then just die. It's going to get eaten alive. You a wide square head. I do have a wide square head. When I used to have very, very short hair, my brother used to make fun of me and say that I have a hot dog head. I don't know in what realm that makes sense, but, I'm going to let him have it because he's my little brother. And then, you can see on the Canadian model that once again, there's a little bit of a low pressure forming down there. But see, that's all I think we're going to get. We're just going to get, whatchamacallit, an area of low pressure. 12 inches is too much. I am waiting for the 0Z runs tonight at midnight, but I'm still watching. GFS have more than 30 inches of rain in the Caribbean. Handsome as always, you look fabulous. Well, thank you, Carmen. Thank you. Fum Chum definitely thinks I look like garbage if I need to send my barber to Hurricane Irma. Sheesh. That's ruthless. That's ruthless. Yeah, you can look at the GFS, but at this point, you would think we would know better now. Like, with as many busted forecasts as we've had in, the last, 3 weeks, you'd think we'd know better by now to not trust the GFS. I mean, if you guys remember what it was doing with Philippe and Tammy and all that, it was out to lunch and then some. It just didn't know what it was going to do with any of those storms. With Rena, even with Nigel and, Idalia for a little while. Actually, yeah, Idalia was a great example. Idalia, the GFS didn't want to form it up until it was already out there, and even then it still struggled to form it up. Canadian model has been getting my hopes up. 0ZGFS is the Leroy Jenkins. The Leroy Jenkins. Yeah, see, I don't know what the heck is going on here. I think the GFS at this point is just spitting out whatever it wants to spit out. See, and if anything, 6 and 18Z are a little bit more reliable, because if we were to hypothetically, guys, again, hypothetically, see something form up down here, 9 times out of 10, it would track like this. 9 times out of 10, because it's going to go right up against all that high pressure and frontal activity that's going on over North America and over the Gulf of Mexico. So if we were to very, very hypothetically, imagination, get something to form up, it would track up like this. That's it. And be gone. It wouldn't even have time to really strengthen too much, because it's going to butt up against all that extreme wind shear that's over the Gulf. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll continue to play it by ear, because we are still in tropical season and it's not over until it's over. But yep, don't trust the GFS. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm going to point at the screen. Don't trust the GFS. You remember those old commercials? Don't do drugs. In this case, don't trust the GFS. Thank you and have a good night. Let's see. EPS 12Z has definitely upticked with that Southern Caribbean low. Yeah, a little bit, but as I was showing out earlier, it doesn't seem like it's moving anywhere. It looked like every single updated model run, it just keeps pushing those probabilities back further and back further and back further. We went from the 15th, from the 16th to the 18th, and they haven't moved. They haven't really gone up either, for that matter. So I'm still having a hard time trusting even what the Euro probabilities are thinking. And you look at the 12Z control model of the Euro ensembles to see exactly if we're going to get a low pressure out of there. And wait, no, this isn't the control. Never mind. I was going to panic for a second. Oh, wait a minute. But nope, those are ensembles. So, I mean, yeah, I forgot to show you guys this, but there are a couple of ensembles from the GFS, from the Euro showing possible development as well. That was something interesting that I noted in my video earlier today, is if you look out there over the Caribbean, we do get a few different ensemble members, albeit not too many of them. It wants to form. You get a lot. We'll admit you get a lot of them right there, but notice they don't do anything. That's where our low might form. And then you have a couple of them that want to go off like this, and nothing spectacular. Yeah, right. It's finally spinning out right here, and it doesn't look like that's going to last long if our ensembles want these members to punch right through it. Let's go look out across the tropical Atlantic. See, mean sea level pressure. Here we go. Yeah, that Bermuda high isn't going to last very long, it doesn't look like. This is what I'm hopeful for. This is what I think is going to help save us from this drought setup. Is this high here? We have a very, very strong barotropic or mature low right here, and then look at all this nice return flow. Look at all that warm air and moist air advection going across the south and the southeast. That's what we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see. So we'll see what happens. It's kind of looking like the floodgates are going to open for the southeast. Next hurricane season is definitely going to be concerning, in my opinion. Where are you getting the SOI number at negative 6.9? Because I've definitely seen some of the SOI indexes, and I could have sworn that I read it somewhere like in the negative 1 to negative 1.5, which definitely shows we're into El Nino. And just looking at the way the structuring of the subtropical jet and everything looks like over North America, it does seem like we're going to finally start seeing even more El Nino activity here very soon. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's El Nino for sure. Look at that. Very strong subtropical jet down there, and then a massive polar front trough coming across the west coast. So our weather activity across North America is going to start getting very pungent very soon, very intense. And then, I mean, we still, looking down there, we still have a nice anticyclone over the Caribbean, so I don't know. It's anybody's best guess. I definitely don't think we're going to have any development, but time will tell. We still have a lot of November left. In your opinion, is the technology for weather reading in the Air Force better or worse than the tech you show to us? I know you said you can't get the Air Force readings anymore, so is that better? It really depends. There were a lot of wonderful tools that we created internally in our weather squadron, and they worked like a breeze. They definitely made everything a cakewalk in terms of forecasting, and it also made it even easier for delivery of our briefings and our information. So, I saw signs of the polar vortex out there not too long ago, as a matter of fact. It was on one of my videos a couple days ago. Let me go over to College of DuPage. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. College of DuPage. Let's go here onto the satellite imagery and then go global. We'll go here, and there you have it. Well, it was looking very polar vortex-ish. Let me go back in time. Let's go 200 hours back in time. There you go. There's a nice big old polar vortex up there spinning around. And then it got knocked out of whack with all these little clipper-like systems coming across. Honestly, I love this satellite shot. I really do. I don't know why so many people don't use this. A lot of people love tropical tidbits, but dang, I adore this satellite shot. It's so cool to have the northern half of the globe. You could see everything, and you have the spherical nature of the Earth for sure. And, it's pretty neat. It's definitely pretty neat. I love this satellite shot. This is one of my favorite things to brief off of. I started a lot of my videos with this satellite shot. The only problem is, and you guys are probably dealing with it right now, is every time I go to brief something out in the tropics, it seems like my head's always in the way right here, so you can't see any of this. All you see is, good afternoon, everybody. So we're looking at the satellite image, and if you want to see my forehead, this is exactly what I'm anticipating across the MDR. Oh, yeah, no, we're going to have a strong El Nino all winter time, and just in time for spring and into next hurricane season, we're done. Then it's all hands on deck for next hurricane season. In fact, let's see if we have any any of our new climate models in. Let's go to regions. We'll go to North Atlantic. There's something else I want to look at on here. Let's see, monthly toll. Here we go. All right, let's see what we have. This is a very, very, very preliminary hurricane season 2024 forecast. Let's see what we have on here. So this is February, March, April, May. Whoa, look at May already. June, July, August. Whoa. All right. We definitely have to watch, because look at that. We are expecting open season in the Caribbean. That's June. There's July. Now that's an alarming sign right there, guys. We have an active MDR, it looks like, and we have a very active Gulf and a very active Caribbean. And that's, obviously this is very, very preliminary. Take this with as giant, I'm talking like a planetary size grain of salt right now. Don't take this as end all be all. Start preparing now. But I remember, let's go way back in time. Can we go back in time? I don't think we can. This is, let's see. Can we go back? Nope. I wonder if there's a way I could go, here we go. Okay. So if you take a look at this, notice how the big difference. See, May, dry. June, very dry. July, very dry. And then now notice how it starts to pick up steam out there for the MDR. And then take a look at the big difference if we go here to now and we go out in time. Look at that, massive difference. There's June, July. Wow, this looks even worse, guys. Next year, it's going to be open season. Next year is going to be open season. Big difference. Our climatology models are already predicting that thing is going to be a gateway. Look at that, straight in. Very, very preliminary, very, very rough forecast. Talking like put maybe a 1% confident level, 1% confidence level in this. But just look at that. This is for August. This is headed into peak hurricane season. And you can see that out here we're going to have just a giant block. which is very typical of a La Nina style, or at least the neutral phase style season. And look at this channel from the Cabo Verdes all the way through. So next year, Aston, if you're still in here, next year you can talk about major hurricanes for Jamaica, and I will be on board with that. I'll be patting you on the back and being like, yep, here we go. So yeah, batten down the hatches. You can see looking very, very far into the future. Our climatology models are very on board with us seeing something big headed our way. This is what scares me. Like, look at that. We're calling for a very, very, very active Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. Even in May, look at how much precip that the model's already thinking we're going to see, because that shear is going to be turned off. And then even into June. June is when we have, very similar to what we have at the back end of hurricane season, homegrown systems, Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean. And then as that MDR opens up, look at how we're already expecting active MDR in July. We'll have to see, obviously, what the dust says. But then look at August even. August doesn't look very good. There's nothing but high precip values and moisture out there. Completely opposite of what we saw this year. So, not good. Mark Sudduth talk about the hurricane season. Oh, did he? I didn't get a chance to watch his video, but I believe it. Next year is going to be really, really rough. Well, just because we can't see it, PM, doesn't mean that it's not happening. All of our analysis data suggests we are in a strong El Nino, just looking at what's happening over the Pacific. You know, we have all that really, really hot water butting up against South Central America up into the Southwest United States. So, I mean, in terms of analytic data and in terms of textbook El Nino, it's happening. It's just, it seems like because we're still so hot on this side of the world, it's like counteracting the two. So, textbook El Nino is definitely there. You can look at all the charts and you'll see it plain as day. It's just whatever the heck's going on our Atlantic side of the spectrum, the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, is offsetting it really bad. But yeah, so there you go. That's next year is going to be an exciting one. Next year I'm hitting 100,000 subscribers because I'm going to be calling hurricane forecasts 3 years before they show. No, I'm just kidding. No, guys. Now I'm starting to sound like the GFS. No, but next year is going to be a big one. Next year is going to be a big one. Knock on wood. Praise the Lord. I'm still active and running on YouTube. My channel doesn't get squashed because no one's watching thanks to hurricane season being over. But next year is going to be wild. We definitely going to have to watch closely exactly what happens, because if we're coming out of El Nino going neutral, by the time we hit April, May, we're going to start to see a little bit of La Nina creeping in as we get into the peak of hurricane season, and that's not good. I'm watching the track similar to Marco and active hurricane season for 2024 and 25 due to La Nina. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm not going as far as 25 yet. We'll have to see what El Nino does as we get through the rest of winter time. Everything could be wrong. I'm not at the ocean. Well, see, you know, I can understand saying models are wrong, but at the same time, we can't argue with buoy data and analysis data out there. Like, I mean, that's not going to be wrong unless you're telling me that all of the Pacific and all the Pacific, you know, whatever they're using to take temperature. I don't know exactly how they analyze sea surface and ocean heat content temperatures outside of buoy data and subsurface data or analysis data, but, you know, oceanography is not my specialty. Meteorology is, and I only understand the basic necessity of ocean currents and warm versus cold currents, eddy currents, loop currents, etc., and how they influence the weather. I don't analyze the ocean itself, and all I can see is that analysis data suggests that it's out there. Let me look at that. I don't even really have to click on it. There you have it. El Nino in full effect. 100%. It's just the problem is we're still so hot out here. I think that's what's offsetting it. Big time. Thomas, I like your questions. Isn't beer overpowering? I think Nazario appreciates the questions. I do appreciate the questions, actually. They definitely help. I'll be honest, since watching you and how passionate you are, you've really got me into the weather, but I know at times I'm overpowering. Not at all. No, I love it when people ask questions. That's what I'm here for. That's what this chat room is all about, so we can all talk and ask questions and kind of digest everything together. So the more questions, the merrier. You could write a whole parchment list of questions and drop them in the chat, and I'm going to answer all of them. That's a commitment to this page, no matter how many viewers or however many, subs we get. Even if we don't get any more subscribers, I don't know. I'm always going to make sure to get back to everybody, even if it is a little overwhelming for me at times and my brain power gets zapped. Doesn't mean the tracks will be a problem. See, we're opening up the Pandora's box here, because I feel like, like the tracks might not be a problem if they're out coming off the Cabo Verdes. We might still have a ton of fish storms. But the fact that we have a Caribbean and a Gulf of Mexico that might be wide open for things to develop, somebody's going to get hit. So if you open up different source regions, like that's the thing. If you keep the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean closed, high wind shear, El Nino style conditions, then yeah, we could get very lucky like we did this year and everything will just go out to sea saying bon voyage all season. But the moment you start forming up anything in the Caribbean where there's islands upon islands all around it, like bowling pins, let alone in the Gulf of Mexico, and the only way it has to go is up, somebody's going to get hit. That's the thing. I'm not talking tracks, really. It's just the source regions. If the source regions change and we have an open Gulf and an open Caribbean, somebody's getting knocked out. It's going to be like Iron Mike Tyson in his prime in the mid-'80s. Boom! Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And that's exactly what it's going to be. Or that's exactly what it could be. Let me not sound like I'm forecasting preemptively. But, yeah. See, even right here, actually, it looks like we're in El Nino. You could see it. There you have it. There's our El Nino index. We had a little bit of a weakening, a very subtle weakening, and there you have it. As of November, we're starting to climb back up again. Here's our neutral area. So this is something I'm going to be gravitating towards as we go through December, January, and especially close to my birthday in February. If this thing starts dropping as we approach spring and then summertime, that's going to definitely going to be miserable. Definitely going to be miserable. Oh, yeah, I'm rooting for the fish storms too, but like I said, if we start getting things developing really, really close to home, I mean, like, let's put it to you this way. X. There's where all of our storms formed this year, fish storms. Now, let's change it. X. Fish storm track. Where does it go? Well, yeah, PM, because we had all that wind shear out there. The Gulf was closed. The Caribbean was closed. That's what I'm talking about. See, and all I'm doing is moving the source region. That's it. Like, let's be honest here. If we have something form out here and it wants to do this, what makes you think that if it forms out here, it's going to go like this? No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is if you take the same track and they want to lift poleward, boom, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not even really mentioning, steering currents or the tracks or anything like that. I'm literally copy and pasting everything that happened in the Atlantic this year. Like almost 80%, if not 85% of our storms did this all season long. Now, if you copy and paste that, and you move it to here, just to the south of Jamaica, and do the exact same thing, look at what happens. Let's delete that. Let's say we have an open Gulf next year. We have systems this year doing this. We have an open Gulf, systems doing this. You see? So, that's all I'm saying, guys, is if we get out of El Nino, that's going to open the gates for Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. Because I've definitely seen, we've all seen it. We've definitely all seen before all this record heat and these very, very hot water temperatures. We've had normal temperatures out there. We've had really, really massive storms. So we're definitely going to have to watch a lot of key parameters as we go into next hurricane season. And that's why, even if we go back to normal and all of our ocean temperatures recede and, they go back to the norm, climatologically speaking, it's still going to be all hands on deck. Because, we saw, for example, Don earlier this year, way up here go hurricane. So it goes to show you don't need a whole lot of water. You don't need a whole lot of heat to form a hurricane. So it's still going to be all hands on deck. What I'm scared of is seeing those Cabo Verde systems going straight through like this, strengthening. Because if they shoot straight through like that, it's going to be somebody's problem. Lesser Antilles are going to get wrecked. Puerto Rico, possibly Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Cayman Islands. That's going to be a miserable time for you guys. And if they crash into Central America, that's going to be even more miserable. Or if they become somebody's problem in the Gulf, that's going to be bad. And that's the problem too, is I think we go season by season. We don't really think of hurricane season collectively. We don't look at the climatology. People, this year we got extremely lucky. And the reason I'm kind of already looking down the road is just because of how many different articles I'm coming across now that are mentioning that the threat for rapid intensification of these storms is only going to keep going up every year. And that's worrisome. I mean, who's to say we won't see Otis-style systems to where we're sitting pretty in the Gulf of Mexico, and next thing you know, tropical depression, Cat 4. It's happened before. We went from Tropical Storm Katrina to Cat 5 Hurricane Katrina right there, so it's happened before. 2024 is likely similar to 2020. 2024, I'm scared, is going to be similar to 2004 or 2005. We're coming up on the 20-year anniversary of 2004, and there were a lot of Gulf Coast systems and Florida systems in 2004. Same thing with 2005. 2005 was a La Nina system, or a La Nina year. 2024 just seems like it would be an active year. I really hope we stay in El Nino. It's not looking like it right now, so we're going to have to see. That's why I had mentioned to you guys, I'm going to be watching this closely. Where did it go? I think I lost it. Yeah, this guy. Definitely going to be watching this close as we go through December, January, and February. But I think we're going to go ahead and start slowly wrapping up the stream, guys. Just not a whole lot out there to talk about. We're definitely down in the viewers tonight, so we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm probably going to go do that here very soon as well. But yeah, the key takeaway is we still have a very, very small threat that we could see something tropical forming down in the Caribbean. And from there, it's time will tell. Time will tell what the winter time is going to look like. I've seen a lot of folks post the same thing: preliminary winter forecast. I've been seeing those pop up everywhere, and a lot of people were thinking, strong El Nino, wet winter time for the south, and warmer than drier than average up in the north. So we'll see. We'll definitely continue to monitor. It looks like there's signs that El Nino may be trying to make a comeback. And it doesn't seem like it's going to be super strong, at least in the initial, couple phases, or at least for the second half of November. But maybe into December, we'll see a sudden shift, and things will really start firing off. So we'll see. Down on the views, I get like 10, bro. You're great at this. Oh, well, thank you, TRG. I appreciate that. I try. I put a lot of energy and personality into these videos, and I try not to make them just nothing but a science fest, because I know science fest is kind of a snooze fest to a lot of people out there just looking for your standalone weather information. And that's kind of why I'm going to be opening up to doing more content and more of a variety of content as we go into December, January, and February, not only for the holidays, but I definitely want to start doing reaction videos. We can come in here and do those commentary videos, which were a lot of fun. Last time we did them on Friday. We'll see. There's definitely a lot of things I'm brainstorming. I just need to structure exactly how I want to do them, which is exactly why earlier today I had that poll on my community page as to whether or not we should leave our main updates for 6 p.m. or drop back to early in the morning to drop our update. This way it opens up the rest of the day for me to drop other content, how goes it videos, things like that. So we'll see. There's a lot of moving pieces over here in the Weather Center, but we'll figure it out. I also know he has to answer everyone else, too. I flap too much, I think. Oh, no, don't worry about it, Thomas, definitely. In fact, honestly, there's a lot of the same people talking in the stream right now, so there's really nothing else going on. And if you want to ask questions, feel free to, but that's why I'm also going to go ahead and start ending us out, because there really isn't much to talk about in the tropics, which is why I think I'm going to go forward with that post-tropics topics live stream for the remainder of the winter time, the fall and the winter time, and then we'll see what happens. Opens up the floor for all sorts of different possibilities in a live stream. If we get a very strong La Nina, That's going to be rough. I don't know about 2024, but, we'll definitely have to see what happens in 25 if we oscillate fully into La Nina like it's kind of looking, or if we wander back towards El Nino. Now we're getting way too far into the weeds, though, guys. It's hard enough to forecast 5 to 7 days out. I'm not going to forecast 1 to 2 years out. Good night, everyone. Have a good night. Have a good night, David. Keep up the good work. Signing out. Thank you, Matthew F150. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for streaming. I look forward to see you hit 10K subs by before 2024. Lord willing, we'll see. That's the goal. I'd love to have 10,000 subs before 2024. But at the rate we're moving right now, I'd be happy if I got 6,000 before 2024. People just really aren't watching the weather right now because there isn't a whole lot going on out there. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to keep grinding out and try to innovate the channel, do some things that are a little uncomfortable because, it is YouTube at the end of the day. I'm still going to provide you guys with the weather content and the updates that you guys deserve for everybody in North America, Central America, the Caribbean, etc., you name it, parts of South America. But I also want to do some fun stuff out there as well, just to keep it entertaining as we go through the calmer portion of the year-round seasons. Last time I 1-rep maxed the squat, I did 345. It's been a minute since I've tried, so that might be lower, it might be the same, I don't know. Thank you, WX Center, you are great. Oh, thank you very much, Kevin. Zarko, thank you very much. Can we look at the B Hurricane Satellite Loop 2018? Next time, Daniel, we'll go ahead and do that either Wednesday or maybe we'll reattack on Friday. We'll do another Friday live stream with commentary. If we don't have anything to talk about in the tropics, we'll go ahead and do a review of a few other hurricane seasons. We should try going to a NASCAR race next year. I'm going to the Coke 0400. Heck yeah! I got to keep an eye out on my vettix.org website because they usually give out free tickets to certain NASCAR races. So we'll see. I'll keep you in mind. I'll try to grab us a whole bunch of tickets. Shoot, in fact, depending on if Vettix shows it up, I'll try to grab a whole handful of them and see if anybody else wants to come out for that matter. What about tomorrow's update? Yeah, tomorrow we'll do another update. We'll go ahead and just keep rolling at the same rhythm as we always do, just to continue on with the momentum. At this point, it would almost feel like taking a rest day from the gym. It would just feel weird, and I'd get itchy if I don't do a Weather Center segment, so we'll keep going on. But all right, guys. We'll go ahead and wrap the stream. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. By Friday, we have something the tropics to reason about, my friend. Well, we'll see. We'll definitely see. I'm going to keep my eyes out. We'll talk. We'll definitely keep talking. Nazario, any weather you discuss is interesting. Well, thank you very much, Carmen. It's always a pleasure having you in the stream. It's been great having you for the trip ever since we started back in August. I know you're one of the very familiar subscribers I've seen since day one, and I appreciate all of my day ones and all my folks who are jumping on the train now because, Lord willing, we can only keep going further and further up, just like our sea surface temps. Cruel joke, I know, I'm just kidding. But not kidding about the part where we keep going up. Lord willing, we can. Slow and steady wins the race. I know we're getting into a slow season, and I anticipated it. I figured things were going to start going downhill at this time because people like the hurricane season, people like the strong storms, and right now we just don't have a whole lot of that going on. So my dad got us the Vettix to the 400 earlier this year. There you go. So see? Very good. I went to Martinsville about a week ago. I live just 10 minutes from the track. That's awesome. I love going to NASCAR races. I love all things car events, and I'm still very disappointed I couldn't make it out to the auto show at the Orange County Convention Center. But Ethan's Life, if you're interested in meeting up at a car event, I'm going to look at registering for a Slammed Enough show at the beginning of December. If not, shortly after that, on December 9th, there's an I Love Driving Slow show in Lakeland for Christmas time that I'm probably going to make it out to. One of the two. I got to get that car back out there and, into the spotlight, the limelight of the car scene out here in Florida. Because I do miss it. I'd be lying if I said I don't miss it. So we'll see. I'll shoot you more details over Instagram if and when I do register, and I'll probably look at that after I get off of here tonight while I eat dinner. So we'll see. Everything is we'll see. But all right, guys. Thank you once again for taking some time out of your Monday night to spend some time talking tropics together. We'll see you tomorrow for our next 6 p.m. update from Weather Center Nazario. It's looking like we're definitely going to keep it around that time because majority rules and 6 p.m. seems to work for everybody. So that means in the morning, don't be surprised if as we get closer to December, we're going to go ahead and start seeing, different content, different shorts popping up at different times of the day, like in the morning or late in the evening on the weekends. We'll see. Like I said, my gears are turning, and I really want to create something innovative with this channel. Still centered around weather, but not only coming in to say, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Weather Center Nazario. We're going to talk about the weather here, here, here. Have a good day. You know, I want to do some more exciting things and use the little bit of personality that I have to, you know, bring you guys some new stuff. Have a wonderful night, everyone. This is Carmen signing out. Thank you, Nazario, for your updates and for the thank yous. It is my pleasure indeed. Of course, Carmen, you have a great rest of your evening, okay? Thomas, you have a great night. Thank you for asking the questions that you do, buddy. That's how we learn. We got to ask questions. Trust me, I have a lot of questions out there that I have to do research on my own because a lot of my mentors are no longer around. So happy to be of assistance to those of you who have questions and want to collaborate. Aston, have a great evening. FaZe Jarvie, hi there. Welcome in. It's a shame we're getting ready to close out the stream. We'll have to see you next time. But yeah, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for our 6 p.m. update, Wednesday for our 6 p.m. update, and our next 8 p.m. live Tropics Talk to see exactly what the heck is going on out there. But until next time, guys, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you again soon. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.